I Don't Know Yet is not affiliated with any specific 12-step fellowship. The content put forth are the thoughts, opinions, and experiences of the host and guests. It is meant to be suggestive only and is in no way a reflection on how to work the steps in any fellowship or how to work any other recovery program. And we're back.
Hello.
Hi, we did it. Season 2 finale. We're finally here.
9 episodes a season?
9 episodes a season.
9 episodes.
So you were in the first, and now you're in the finale. I told you I'd bring him back, everybody.
Yeah. I can't just sit behind the desk all the time. I guess I got to be in the camera once in a while.
No, and I think that this is going to be a really good one. I think it was very exciting to me when you brought this idea that being able to learn a lot over the last year for yourself has really changed a lot of things for you. And I'm really excited to see what comes out of this one.
Personal growth on many levels.
Yeah.
I've come to a few meetings with you. I've met a lot of people in your community, and I've learned a lot from being the editor-producer of this show. So I figured I'd share a little bit of my journey in the past 6 months, I guess.
9
months since we started
recording
this?
last October.
Oh my God.
I know.
It has been a while.
Yeah, I know. And it's been so cool to see the growth that you've had over the last year. And I'm just really excited for other people to hear it too. So I guess we'll start with kind of, in preparation for this episode, you listened to the last one you were on, our pilot episode. So what kind of things stuck out for you from what you said then versus now?
Well, I guess the real main thing is I've related to a lot of the people that have come on the show in various ways. I've realized my struggle with addiction was a lot deeper than I previously had realized. So as you know, I switched careers this year to a very demanding job, which included drug testing. So I made the choice to stop smoking weed. And that was almost 4 months ago, I'd say.
I think so, yeah.
Something like that, which was a really weird turn for me. I've been smoking weed since I was 13 years old. There's been very few times in my life where I made the choice to go without it. And I honestly wish I had made that choice sooner.
Yeah, really? Okay. Well, I know that in the course of the time that I've known you, you've always been a very strong-willed person, right? And you've been very open about how when it comes to like drinking, you can take it or leave it alone, whatever your preference is.
Yeah, I've never really had an addiction to drinking. I don't like not being in control of my situation. And I guess that comes a lot from my upbringing, right? It was very controlling, but in a manipulative kind of way.
Yep.
So I've always strived not to be a manipulative person, but still very much in control of myself in whatever environment I'm in.
Right. And so tell us a little bit about this lifestyle that you've had for decades. What was it like for you to make that choice and then actually stop smoking?
Well, I guess we should start with why I smoked weed.
Okay.
And it was very much an escape from reality as much as it was a way for me to be a part of reality.
Okay.
I may not seem it, but I'm a very introverted person. I generally won't start a conversation with somebody that I don't know. I will wait for the interaction to be genuine to start that conversation, right? I wasn't always like that as a child. I was very outgoing. I would be the first person to reach out to a stranger and share whatever I had in my hands, whether it was, candy or money. And as my life progressed, I changed in the sense that I was told, don't be so giving. Don't be so quick to put yourself out there. There's lots of people that are going to take advantage of you. And at the same time, I was told, boys don't cry.
That's a hard one for guys to be taught, because it's really not the case.
So that really set the pace for me leading into my adult life of be strong. No matter what, you have to stay strong. And I use weed as a way to cope with it and hide all those emotions deep down, right? It was not necessarily a bad thing, but it really shaped who I was leading into my adult life.
Right.
So weed was always the way for me to stuff down how I was feeling to deal with the situation at hand. Whether it be a public gathering, I didn't know how to interact with people. So weed gave me the ability to open myself up and not care what other people were thinking of me, while deep down inside I was like, holy fuck, they're all staring at me right now.
I can relate to that. Did you know that, all that stuff that you just told me, or did you discover that when you put it down?
It was really when I put it down. Like I had said before that after so many years of smoking weed, it's not even about getting high anymore. It's a maintaining a level. It's
self-medication.
Right? But at the same time, that when you're self-medicating to the extent I was, where every day you wake up and one of the first things you do is you hit that level.
Mm-hmm.
And then, all right, well, I got to go to work. Let's hit that level again. Oh, well, I drove from home to work. Let's hit that fucking level again.
That's how I was with meth and alcohol.
Right. So, yeah, I realized I was an addict for weed, because I was using it to change who I really was without even realizing I was doing it sometimes, and then putting it down was like this huge eye-opener. The flood of emotions, the repressed trauma, the shit I never wanted to deal with was all right there in my face.
Yeah. So when that flood started, how did you get through that? As someone who doesn't actively work the 12 steps, right?
I had to accept my vulnerability and really just tell myself that I'm going to speak my truth, no matter who's on the other end of that truth. I can't stifle how I feel and my opinion for the sake of somebody's feelings. I need to do this for me.
I'm so proud of you. That's awesome. But it is interesting, we've talked a lot about a lot of these things, but there's certain aspects of them that you and I haven't really talked about. But it sounds like you're discovering some of your own defects of character along the way, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I was a fixer. I was a people pleaser, and I was always trying to be something for someone, whether it be a son, a father, a boyfriend, a husband. Doing what I wanted was always on the back shelf because I was the pleaser and the fixer. And at the end of the day, I wasn't doing myself any favors. It was always about what somebody else needed or what I thought somebody else wanted out of me.
Right. You were pouring out of an empty cup for quite a while.
Yeah.
Yeah. But look at you now.
Yeah, and putting myself in a place of vulnerability was never something I was familiar with either, right? It's
scary.
stay strong. Boys don't cry. You have to be a man no matter what. But that definition of a man is so skewed in our realities and the society we live in, that it's like, well, it really is okay for boys to cry. It's okay for you to be vulnerable. But you have to be weary at the same time of who you make yourself vulnerable to, especially in a state like this, because, if I didn't have you here with me on a daily basis and going through what we go through, I very easily could have fallen back into the same bullshit. And
take your time, baby. It's okay.
And I told myself years ago that I would never be that person again, because it's too easy. Yeah. It's so easy to give up on the strength of your journey and just let it all go. You know what I mean?
But you didn't.
No, every day I wake up and I'm thankful for what I have and what I'm building and the future we're creating together. It's not just about what I want. I was lucky enough to find someone who supports me in everything I do and wants to share that dream with me. Love you too. Told you it was going to be an emotional one.
Like I tell you at least 9 times a week, you were right. I'm not done.
We'll do a little cut there.
Oh, it's fine. Leave it in. But I am an ex-coke addict, so I have to blow my nose now. You're fucking amazing.
Life is a roller coaster, and without support, it's a free fall.
Yeah.
If you don't have the ups and downs, you don't know what the ups are. And the downs seem really fucking down with no end to the depth.
Right.
So, thank you for all your support and everything.
Thank you. Okay, let's talk about something else. So there's a few things that I'd like to touch on that I've seen over the last year with you. Tell me, or us, I guess, about your thoughts about higher power. And because my understanding, right, is that there was that was lacking because you've always believed in energies and always believed in these things, but didn't link those two. And I saw a shift from you from kind of where you came from to this place of starting to watch the material while editing it to actually being able to ask the universe for some help.
Yeah, it was always, I always believed in energy. I did a lot of sit-ins while I worked at the university for different courses, and religious studies were important to kind of get the different perspectives and the views and what other people believed, right? But nothing ever really sunk in. So given my love for, physics and just the way things happen, I really put the connection together that, there's one constant in this entire universe, and that's energy. Whether it be you and I, an ant walking across the sidewalk, or the grass that we step on every day without thinking about it. The basic core principle behind all those things is energy. So Buddhist philosophies really believe in reincarnation, and that's more or less what they say your soul is. It's a constant energy that's given back to the universe and then rebirthed into a new vessel. Yeah. So, you know, and on my daily life, even before all this, when I walk down the street, I look at the ground because I'm not trying to step on an ant. I'm not trying to kill a spider. I believe that every energy on this planet has as much right to be here as we do and deserves as much care and freedom as we have.
Agreed.
Yeah. So, and the change that you saw happen, you know, I really dug deep into what I believed, and I wear these bracelets every day without fail because it helps me control the energy that I output into the universe. And at the same time, I learned to ask for guidance from the universe to bring me the energy that I want in my life. I had a situation at work, and I can't think of exactly what the situation was.
I love this story.
But I was having a conflict with a coworker, and at the end of it, instead of, you know, doing what I would have done in the past and just punch this guy in the fucking face or start yelling at him and causing a scene and putting out that negative energy, I had to walk away. And I thought to myself, what would Jen do right now? So I centered myself and I opened my energy to the universe and closed my eyes and just asked. I just asked for the acceptance, the power to accept, and the energy that comes along with it. And at the end of the situation, I put my hands down and walked away a better person for it. Being able to ask for the guidance was very empowering.
Right? I remember when you told me that story at your house. I don't remember how long I was like, it was brief because like you told me we hung out like briefly, and I got in my car, and between you and I immediately called my sponsor. And I was like, oh my God, you're never going to guess what just happened. This is what Chase just told me. And then so he's just like, oh my God, like that's amazing. And I'm like, I don't think you understand what's happening right now. And he's like, what do you mean? And I like my actual language was, I'm like, this motherfucker's getting 12-stepped and he doesn't even know it. And he's like, oh, I didn't even think of that. And then I was like, yeah, like he's sitting and he's listening to the material without bias, without pressure, without anything. He's just hearing the message of what living by spiritual principles and trying to have a universe help you can do for you. And the first time he tried it, he got results. I'm like, this is very exciting. I remember being thrilled because someone like you, like you've always just been such an honest, giving, hardworking, willing person. When you have those qualities naturally, it's a lot easier to be able to get those kind of messages. A lot of people that are blocked by pride and ego and don't want to grow may not have been able to have an experience like that their first go around. So I was very excited when you told me that you tried something out of the norm for you and you got an immediate return on it. It was a really beautiful moment.
Yeah, and now I find myself, I wouldn't say every day, but when I come across situations that I need to deal with, I take that minute to think before I react. You know, violence was a big part of my upbringing, emotionally, verbally, and physically, to the point where that's an instant reaction for somebody like me growing up, was just say whatever comes to your mind, fucking get your point across, and if it doesn't follow, well, I guess hands are getting thrown. You know, so even yesterday when I picked up my cards because, you know, I watch Jen on a daily basis do her little meditation, and she relies on her tarot and oracle decks for a little bit of guidance. So I decided to pick one up for myself. And the card I pulled was all about letting go of negativity. And I didn't have anything in the moment to relate it to. And Jen goes, well, what's it telling you? And I said, I don't know. But I left the house to go get a haircut. And on my way to get the haircut, sure enough, the universe provided me
an opportunity.
Yeah, with the opportunity to practice exactly what the card told me to do. And instead of reacting the way I would have in the past, I chose to let go of the negativity in a very calming way for myself.
You did a step 7. That's very exciting. Right? But that's what it's about. It's about asking the universe to mold you into the energy and light source that you were always meant to be. And then the universe provides you opportunities to grow into that. You can either choose to grow with it or grow away from it, right? So I just thought that was really cool. I was just like, what's that about? You're like, I don't know. I think I'm good. 2 hours later. So this happened. Yeah.
And the universe provides, right?
Sure
you
does.
just have to open your eyes and be willing to observe.
It's literally when you open your heart and your mind to the possibility of there being something underlaying all. It's amazing how you can literally see it everywhere. It's everywhere. Anytime someone's like, well, that was a coincidence. I'm like, nope, that was a God shot. Right? Bumping into my sponsee in Walmart. Randomly walking, talking to you on the phone, pushing a shopping cart, trying to leave. I randomly hear I know that voice, and I turn around and it's a sponsee of mine that I haven't seen in a little bit. It's not a coincidence that I had something I needed to share and she was struggling with something. It's the universe bringing people together when they need each other. Like it's fascinating to me that it's literally everywhere if you know how to see it.
Yeah. We're so blinded by our own thoughts sometimes that these things pass us right by and we're oblivious to them.
Yeah. I feel like before we talked about this episode or in talking about it, you had mentioned something that you wanted to touch on about our history.
Yeah, well, that comes back to me just being a fixer, right? You know, the stories come up a few times how you kind of tried sobriety the first time and not really doing it for yourself, but to fix something that was broken outside of yourself.
For our listeners and watchers that have seen me talk about this several times, I never once actually name dropped you on that. So, surprise twist. The guy that had to go was you.
Yeah. And that was a very hard choice for me to make back then. You know, we were very much in love and dealing with our own shit through life. You with your addiction, and me with my broken fucking emotions. I was fresh off a relationship and we had just given my daughter up for adoption. So instead of trying to fix myself, I spent a lot of time and energy trying to fix and help you with your problem. In the end, it was very toxic for both of us. We were not in a good place to learn from the situation at the point in time. And that's why I say me being a fixer, when I can't fix something, I have to let it go. And I hope that it fixes itself on the back end based on the lessons and the situations that occurred during. And then I guess I don't know if it's a flaw of mine, but and I've said this to you many times, whether you understand it or not, it's just who I am deep down. I am willing to give up what I want for what I believe.
I remember when you said that to me for the first time, we were having brunch and I heard the words, but I didn't understand what you meant by it. And when I asked you, you said that's why I left you. And then I got it.
Yeah, and at the point in time when that all went down, if I had said that to you then, you probably wouldn't have got it.
Nope.
But here we are, 15 years later?
Oh, longer than that.
Who's counting?
Me. 07. We're in 24. 17? 17 years?
17 years, yeah.
17 years. And I think it's really beautiful too, and I've talked about this in other episodes. I had no idea why sobriety didn't work for me the first time. And it was only in finding it again that I was able to look back and say that I only went because I didn't like the consequences and the result of what I was doing, right? You had to do what you believed in, and that was walking away. And I had no interest in actually getting better or changing my behavior. I just thought that I had to go through the motions and that would graduate me to have this simple, easy life. And that just absolutely wasn't the case. And then years and years and years go by. I got sober, did a lot of work. I don't actually know if you know this or not. It just popped in my head. So if we haven't talked about it, I guess surprise. Over my journey in recovery this time around, I've gone through stints of amends. So desperate in the beginning, hit step 9, did a few, felt better, kept going, back burner, go through a dip. Hey, how are your amends going? They're not. Okay, cool. I'm going to do some more. And then they said, and so I've gone through these stints. When I was 3 years sober, I had my sponsor say, how are your amends going? And I said, they're not. And he said, okay, you need to buckle down and get a bunch of them done. And so I started making amends and reaching out to people. You and I had always been on Facebook, even though we haven't talked in years. And I don't know if you know this or not, but I actually sought out to make amends to you 2 years ago. I just never messaged you. Mm. So I went to your profile and I never actually consulted anyone about this. I followed my heart on this one. So whether it would be good, bad, I don't know. But at the time you were married and you looked very happy and you looked like you'd finally gotten what you had wanted out of life. Now, I also know a lot today about, never judge a book by its cover. You don't know what's going on. But I looked at what your life appeared to be and decided it would be very selfish of me to open that wound and insert myself selfishly into your life when you would seem to be exactly where you wanted to be. And I chose not to. And then I did my round of amends, and then the same thing happened, and I stopped doing them for a while. And then year 4 came around. I guess that was year 2. And then year 3 came around, and he's like, how are your amends coming? And I was like, guess I'll get back on that. And I looked you up, and things had changed.
As life does.
As life does. So I said to myself, maybe this is the time. And I have to be honest with you, going into that amend with you with the right motives was one of the hardest things I've ever done. It's one of the hardest things I've ever done because I knew how much I had hurt you, and I understand that you believe that you had your own part in that, and that's fine, but I know that I had a lot. And it was so hard. We were just kids. When we were together, and you came into the restaurant and you were this beautiful grown-ass man, and I was like, oh my God, how am I supposed to do this? And I prayed and I prayed and I prayed, and yours, aside from the fact that we are now in an extremely healthy, loving relationship, yours was one of the more impactful amends that I had ever made, because it showed me and in turn has helped me teach other sponsees the importance of making them, whether you think they need to be made or not. Because you were the first person that when I asked how I could make it right, you were the first person, And I remember your tone exactly. You said, I just need you to forgive yourself because I forgave you a long time ago. And it was such a really beautiful moment that you and my higher power gave me to understand that it's okay to let go of the mistakes that I've made in the past. And it was just such a positive experience for me. The entire way walking to the cars, I don't think you understand how hard I prayed. I prayed and I prayed and I prayed and I said, just give me the courage to say, have a great life. Thanks for letting me do this. Because my motives had to be pure and I had to be ready to accept that that was our meeting and walk away. Even though you walking in the room made me feel like I did when I was 20. And then I said, thanks for doing this. And you were like, this was fun. We should do it again sometime. And I'm like, thank you. Sure. That sounds great. And I was just like, on the inside, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, I remember the terrified look on your face as we sat down to eat and go through that whole situation that day. You were
terrified.
Yeah, you were terrified for...
You offered me an out a couple of times, which I appreciated.
I did, yeah. And, you know, I was so happy to see your growth on the back end, right? And that's what I mean about letting go of what I wanted to find what was needed.
Right.
And it doesn't always work like that. Sometimes you can have the best hopes and best intentions walking away from a situation and the other person never finds that back end that you're hoping for.
Yeah.
And I was like you had said, I forgave you years ago, but it wasn't always that way. Yeah, for a long time I had resentment towards everything that we had went through, whether I realized my part in it or not. It was fucking heartbreaking for me to walk away from you. It really was. You know, we spent probably 2 years together back in our 20s and things between us developed very fast. We got engaged, we have a tattoo together. And you wouldn't believe how many times in my life that I completely forgot that I have that tattoo because it's on my shoulder
and you never look at it.
And I can't see it, right? But
all your girlfriends knew about it though.
Anytime I would, go shirtless or be in a relationship, somebody would ask me about the tattoo, and I would remember that it's there and everything that came along with it when we got it, and how much it hurt for me to have to walk away from you and leave you like you were. But at the point in time, I couldn't help you. You know, we were both so broken and so stuck in what we were living and not giving ourselves the chance to heal. So 17 years later, we've both gone through a world of shit. Literally.
Yeah.
We've both been arrested, both found a bottom, hard bottoms more than once.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we came out the back end of it happier and healthier, and couldn't be more proud of you for who you are today.
Ditto, honey. It is a pretty cool story.
Yeah.
I wish I could say that I'm sorry. I know that you know in my heart that I am. But because of this life that I live today, I really, to my core, believe that everything happened exactly as it was supposed to get us here.
Of course, you know.
I'm sorry that the pain of it was so hard. But it got us here.
Living and growing through pain is how we progress through life sometimes. That common question, do you have any regrets? And some people are so quick to answer it with something that they deeply regret. But at the same time, if you never went through that situation, would you be who you are today? Would you be where you are today? And I've done a lot of shitty things in my time. Things that I wouldn't do again given the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't regret them because I'm happy where I am. I'm healthy. and I'm a better person for living through those trials and tribulations.
Mm-hmm.
Did I negatively impact a lot of people on my way? Yeah, probably. And I would wholeheartedly offer apologies and my condolences and the shirt off my back if I knew it would help them. But I would like to think that a lot of people let go of the resentment over time. They learn to find their own path and accept the things that have happened.
Right. That's beautiful, honey. I have to say, one of the coolest experiences of my entire life was being able to... You were already such a beautiful person when we reconnected last year. But the course of getting to know each other, connecting again, the podcast, just spending time together, growing, all that, like, I don't think you understand how far you've actually come in the last year. A year ago, you looked at me and you told me that you were broken. And while you really enjoyed the moments that I was around, you just wanted to take off. You had accepted your unhappiness, it seemed. And I knew you so long ago, but I knew that wasn't you. And all I could do was just keep working hard and trying to do what I thought God would have me do. And that meant putting myself in a position of being there for you, but still accepting that you might have to go. And I talk about this on a lot of episodes. Last year taught me a lot about what it really means to have faith. But you do what you say, and you say what you do, and you're kind, and you're giving, and you're loving, and you're just this amazing person. And you had literally everything that I've ever wanted. So I was prepared to let you go if needed to be able to spend a little time with you. And God knew exactly what you needed, I guess, because this podcast fell in our lap. The material came out and you put yourself in a position of growth. And it looks to me that you've done a lot of healing over the last year. One of the hardest things that I've ever had to say to you was, if you really think that you need to go, then go. It's selfish of me to hold on to you. But I don't think that's going to fix the problem. I think that you need to be surrounded by people that lift you up.
Yeah, you're right. I really had hit a point of giving up on myself and my future. You know, I like I said, I'd always been focused on being something for someone, and I didn't have that in my life anymore. I just got divorced. My son was 18, doesn't really need me like he used to. And I didn't know what to do with myself anymore. I was working so fucking hard, but even that didn't need me, because I had built such a strong foundation at work that I'd show up at work with nothing to fucking do for 5-6 hours at a time and wonder, what the fuck am I doing here? What am I doing with myself, my life? Who am I living for right now? And yeah, I probably haven't told you this, but I was closer to suicide in that period than I had ever been in my life. Thank you.
You good?
Yeah. I just had a terrifying moment that I didn't hit record. What a shame that would have been.
What a shame that would have been. There's been so much good stuff on here. It's been emotional, but I think this is going to be powerful for a lot of people.
No, you didn't tell me that. But I understand what that feels like.
I was so broken. I didn't know what I was living for anymore. And what the start of that turnaround was what I call my 5-year plan. And I was sitting at the bar one day, drinking after work, talking to, at the time, was a complete fucking stranger, which, alcohol tends to do. And he told me that one day he wanted to move to Thailand and open his own restaurant and or bar and just find a new place in life because he was so broken with everything that he had been through. And I looked at him and I said, no fucking shit. I've wanted to do exactly that for over a decade. Like, it is literally my dream to go live somewhere where I'm not worried about this constant have to have and be something, where I can just exist in my own world and not deal with all the bullshit that exists here. I'm sure there's going to be other bullshit that exists there, but it's not this bullshit. And, he kind of thought I was piggybacking on him out of sympathy or lack of my own will, but that was literally something that was in the back of my mind years ago. And I always tried to be something for somebody, that I never lived my dream. And that kind of gave me a new hope. And we started getting more serious. And we went on vacation to Mexico, and you told me you loved me. And at the point in time, I couldn't say it back. And I'm sorry for that.
You don't need to be sorry.
But the reason I couldn't say it was because I didn't want to take you away from your reality to live mine. I didn't think that was something I could ask of you. But as we progressed and continued on the journey together, you asked me if you could come with me and make my dream our dream. I've never had that before.
Do you know how terrifying it was for me to ask you that?
And I said I would love nothing more. But I don't want you to do this for me. I want you to do this with me.
Hell yes.
So that's our dream. Not necessarily to leave all this behind us, but to take it with us and expand together.
Yeah. There's so much of this earth to see.
There is. And being limited here just seems like such a waste of our youth.
Yeah.
We've already wasted so much of it.
Well, wouldn't say wasted. We needed all those things to learn, right?
Yeah, absolutely we did.
But yeah. Yeah, it was funny when we started. I remember kind of when the transition of the closeness and commitment really kind of started. The addict in me was like, why hasn't he fucking asked me to go yet? Like, this is like the thing that he's talked about the whole time. And then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm like, hey, can we talk about this? How do you feel about like
doing this thing together. Yeah. I was really scared you'd say no. But I work a program. I have the 12 steps in my life. I lean on God and I ask myself, what would you, God, have me do? Follow my heart, my ideals, and have the courage and put myself in a position where I'm being true to my authentic self. And if the result is not what I want, then I'll be just fine. But you and me just feels right. It always has.
It's real support. And that's lacking in so many relationships. We go with what we know and never seek what we need.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we get stuck on ideals that aren't necessarily ours. What we grew up with, or what we've been told by others, or what we've seen based on other people's relationships, or even our own past relationships. To have somebody that truly supports your decisions and wants to live them with you is rare.
Mm-hmm. I also don't know a lot of people that don't fight. It's come up several times with different sponsees and different experiences in their lives, but like, I can't even think of like disagreement. Like, we've said things that we don't agree with on each other, but we talk about things.
Cereal is soup.
Oh my God, it is not soup. It is not soup.
Anyways, moving on. That's our only disagreement. Is
That's
cereal
our disagreement.
soup?
That is our disagreement that I will continue to Google and find my own points. But we do it while laughing the entire time, right? There's just, it's so, anyone listening, I really hope you understand that it is possible to have a relationship where you can have trusting, open communication and you can be vulnerable with a person and have them not judge you. And whether they agree or understand, they're still going to be there, right? I talked about this on the last episode, right? I fucked up yesterday and I felt really bad about it. It was a simple snap thing that happened. I never was mean or rude to you, but my tone and my energy level and my amount of words in my sentences shortened very quickly.
Yeah.
Right? And I was not, and it had nothing to do with you, but I wasn't me.
Yeah, you weren't being open to what I was saying.
No.
You were frustrated with the situation at hand, and it showed in your response.
Shut down pretty quickly. But when you are trying to work on yourself and be healthy and move forward, and most importantly, take care of the ones that you love, I prayed for a few minutes, and I'm like, holy fuck, what was that? What just happened there?
Yeah, and I, in the time of getting off the phone with you, to you apologizing for your shortness, I wasn't angry about it at all. I wasn't resentful to how you reacted. I understand what you were going through, and I knew that when the time was right, we would have a conversation about it. And, we can disagree on things and still have an open conversation about it. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have to be a fight or an argument. Mm-mm. We're both individuals as much as we are a pair, but we are entitled to have our differing opinions. Mm-hmm. You don't always have to agree, but to stand there and say, no, I'm fucking right and you're wrong, is the most selfish thing an individual can do.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I hear stories of different people that share in the rooms. I've had different sponsees. I think so many people are in love with the idea of love and the idea of a healthy relationship, that they just take anyone that is convenient. I know that sounds harsh. I've done it. You're attractive. Okay, cool. I could see this in my head, so I'm going to make this into what I want it to be.
Yeah.
Oh, you're treating me like shit? Okay, well, I guess I'll just take it and then try a little harder, because I know what I can picture in my head of how good this could be. If you just let me, I'll make this really good. It's just, when you're able to live your life on spiritual principles and try to be true to yourself, try to be honest with yourself, and try to be a better person, it's amazing. I remember the very first episode we made it, or one of the reels was, I said I tried to live a very Zen life, and I feel that the harder I work on this stuff, the more higher of a caliber person I attract to me. And I really believe that, because you're fucking amazing. And if it wasn't for having God in my life and doing all this stuff, I would not be at your level. And in turn, getting up to your level caused me to then keep going. And then it's been this cool waterfall effect of us constantly leveling up.
Yeah.
And
we're
getting better together.
Constantly piggybacking off of each other.
Yeah.
And, you know, you say people that take relationships that are convenient tend to stay in those relationships for convenience.
Mm-hmm.
And you never get the chance to see what a healthy relationship is, because you're always thinking, oh, it'll be better tomorrow. Oh, it's not always like this. A relationship out of convenience is so inconvenient.
Mm-hmm.
So inconvenient. You'll never find the right one if you're committed to a bad situation.
Agreed. Anyways, super healthy relationships are out there, guys. You just got to be willing to find someone who matches your ideals.
Well, and stick to your ideals.
Mm-hmm.
You can compromise for each other, but at the end of the day, if it's going against your ideals, you're not being true to yourself, and you're fooling yourself if you ever think you can change somebody to be what you want them to be. You have to have that healthy communication and that commitment to growth.
Mm-hmm.
And understanding. You know, when you're upset, even though I'm very unempathetic with most people, I can sit and bring you back to a solid level. Whereas most people, I don't give a fuck you're upset. Deal with it. Honestly, I don't care. Because that's who I am. I don't empathize very well, because I've always been such a strong individual. The way I deal with emotions, I always felt like, what the fuck's wrong with you? Why can't you just do what I do? Just fucking get over it. Move on with your day. It's not a big deal. But I've learned that what's important to you is important to me. And I will take myself out of self to help you get through self.
Like my implosion the other day.
Yeah, it was necessary. You had to get it off your chest, but you also needed me to be there to tell you that it's okay to feel like that.
Yes, to all. That was a mix of a few things, actually. Because it doesn't matter how much or how hard I work the program, right? I'm human, and I have my good days and my bad days. And I had a lot of fear, and I had a lot of doubt, and I had a lot of fear about the situation, but also I didn't want my thoughts to impact you. So there was fear there. There was a lot of defects and lack of higher power that was happening that I was unable to see until it all came to one point and then exploded. It all came out. But you listen, and you, being a general fixer, you obviously did try to offer some solutions, which I really appreciate. Right? But you listened and you reassured. And one of the coolest things that you and I had an opportunity to talk about was things that are important to us, right? During one of our more uncomfortable conversations throughout our growth, I told you that I only really care about, reassure me and match my effort. It's pretty much all I need. I'm like, I have lots of wants, but you just need to reassure me that I make you happy and match effort. That's it. That's all I need.
Yeah.
And you show me that all the time.
Yeah. And you're very giving. So I try to be that in return. When you're being emotional, I try to offer you the reassurance that you need, that no, you're not crazy. It is okay to feel like this. What's not okay is holding it in until you explode.
Mm.
You know, talking about these things on a regular basis when you have these fear, these doubts, keeps us solid.
Mm-hmm.
And it brings us closer together every time, because at the back end of it, you can think about this situation next time it occurs. You can go, oh, yeah, he told me this before.
Oh, I don't think you understand how much growth there's already been. I vividly remember the first uncomfortable conversation we had, and that took an hour of straight up prayer and reaching out to pillars for help before I even talked to you about it. I'm like, I'm fucking terrified.
Yeah, I recall. I definitely recall you being like, we need to have a conversation. Your tone of voice was like, I'm talking to my shoulder right now because I can't look you in the eyes because I'm terrified of what you're going to say in return.
Nailed it. Nailed it. It's literally how it went.
But on the end of that conversation, I did exactly then what I do now and listen, offer you reassurance, and try and offer solutions. You know, and if the solutions that I offer aren't what you think is necessary, we ballpark other solutions. You know, what do you need in this situation? It's not just about what I can offer.
Right.
Because I can talk all fucking day if you let me. Doesn't mean it's going to do anything for you.
Yeah. This is kind of, it's just really cool to see how far we've come in a year.
In a year, in 17 years.
Oh my God.
37 years.
17 years, and then a random couple week encounter in like 2012. And then a couple week encounter in like 2015.
Yeah.
And each time, God was like, it's not time. Fuck off.
Yeah. Have your fun and go about your life.
Yeah. So, moral of the story, asking the universe for help helps. Being true to yourself. And understanding that it's okay to be vulnerable and never to try to go through it alone.
Yeah.
Surround yourself with the right people and you can do anything.
It's a terrifying world out there, and alone is a horrible place to be.
Yeah.
Something else that was a cool situation that we seen for some growth for me, one of my best friends disappeared about 10 years ago. He picked up and moved to Ontario with a relationship that was very toxic. And the last time I had seen him before he moved, he was fucking blackout drunk. Like, worse than I had ever seen him. And again, I had to put myself in that walk away because I don't know how to help you situation. And it fucking hurt me for a long time to leave him like that. And just feeling helpless to his addiction. I didn't know how to help him. He was so fucking blackout drunk. He did not remember this situation happening as I told him 2 days before his wedding this year. When the last time I seen him was. He had zero recollection of it. But also right before, he had a relapse after, 230-ish days of sobriety. And he was fucking broken because of it. He's like, man, I have to be honest with you. I was drunk while we were talking on the phone yesterday. And I said, bro, I know. I could hear it in your voice. But I wasn't going to be the one to bring it up. And I'm so proud of you for coming to me with that. And he goes, thank you for understanding. I thought you were going to be disappointed and angry with me for doing that. And I was like, no, man, I'm super grateful that you can see your part in this and own up to what you did, not for me, but for yourself. You know, you're such a strong man that you came to me and admitted your flaws. I didn't have to call you out on them. That's not something a lot of people can do, especially when they feel like they've let you down. You know, they'll bury it and they'll try to hide it and never bring it up. And at the end of the day, you know, we cried on the phone for a little bit and told him I loved him, and he said, I love you too, bro. Let's stay in touch. You know, don't leave me hanging. And it was maybe a week to 2 weeks after that phone call, it happened again. He relapsed a second time. And he called me while he was drunk in his personal resentment and was like, you know, I have to be honest with you. I've been on a bender for a few days. And I turned into a sponsor without even knowing it. I helped him walk through being drunk and why he was going through what he was going through and how to possibly get past it. And after probably an hour on the phone with him, I asked him, he said, okay, well, I just have 2 beers left and then I'm not drinking anymore. And Jen in the background goes, pour him down the fucking sink. And I said, hey, bro, why does it need to be 2 more beers? If you're already done with it, be done with it. So he went to his fridge, pulled those 2 beers out, opened them up, and poured them down the sink. And I was so fucking proud of him for taking that step.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so proud. It doesn't matter how many times you fall. It's how you get back up.
Yep. And addiction is unfortunately a fucking tricky bitch.
Yeah.
When the urge is too powerful for your control, it's very difficult to. When you're in stage 4 on a spree, it's fucking impossible to stop on your own. It's impossible.
It's almost just as hard to reach out for help.
Oh,
and
yeah.
And admit your mistake.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. It's so hard to being on this side of it. I think we talked about it with Nicole, that just now that I'm here and I have this beautiful fucking life, I hold my hand out to people all the time. Like, just my hand is here. Just take it. Just come with me. Like, you just need to just do a couple things. Just come with me. And being here, I'm like, I don't understand why you won't come with me. But I remember what it was like refusing to go with anyone for 15 years. So there's just only so much you can do. I pray for all the people that aren't ready, and I just hope to God they get ready and while there's still time. But sometimes God has bigger plans for people than they have for themselves, and sometimes that's in God's hands and not ours.
And sometimes you just have to be reminded that you're not alone and you're loved.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a big one.
Yeah.
Proud of you.
Proud of you.
Love you.
Love you too, babe. Keep killing it.
You too.
Every time we're sitting there on the couch or talking on the phone, or I call you and you send me a quick message back, hey, can't talk right now, or, you know, have to get up and take this phone call, I'm never mad about it. I'm always so happy that you're there for all these people. You mean the world to so many people. Your efforts, the power, the energy you put in their lives. You're doing amazing things.
It's not me, it's God. I had to say that because we just did the Gord episode. I could never do it without God, but yes,
God gives you the power.
There is effort on that, effort required, but I could only I can only be where I am because of the people that gave it to me.
Yeah.
What a better life, though.
Right?
Okay, I think I'm all cried out now. Anything else you wanted to touch on?
Maybe some pizza. I could definitely touch on some pizza. What? I am always hungry.
What does that even mean? Touch on some pizza? I'm going to have to watch this back because I'm pretty sure I paused for a solid 6 seconds trying to process in my brain what you just said.
I was trying to make you laugh because you're done crying. God.
I mean, you did, but not in the way you expected, I don't think, because that made no sense.
Sitting on the couch yesterday, and I had 2 pieces of pizza, one on top of each other. And she's like, wait, are you eating pizza right now? Face to face, like 2 pieces of pizza? I was like, yeah. Is this technically a sandwich?
It is.
It's things between 2 pieces of bread.
Oh, gosh. Hot dogs are sandwiches, and cereal is not soup.
Well, but how is a steak sandwich a sandwich?
It's not. They just call it that.
English is fucked.
English is fucked. Okay, so I feel like this is a good place to wrap it up. I will say a couple of things for the show's sake. It's been a ride doing 2 whole seasons. Can't wait for season 3. Please bear with us as life is happening and we are unsure of when season 3 will be coming out. But we will definitely keep you all posted. I hope this message helps people, and thanks for coming on, Chase. I fucking love you.
Thank you. Thanks for watching me be vulnerable today. I told you a couple days ago it was going to be a roller coaster.
It really was.
And you asked if I wanted to talk about it, and I said, nope. Let's save it because I want your genuine reactions to what I have to say, and it was genuine from both of us. I'm not afraid to bare my soul to you and the world in turn. I love you.
I love you. I'm so proud of you.
And I love you all. Stay strong out there.
Peace.
Bye.